The brain and body have always been viewed as two separate entities, but in reality, they are deeply intertwined systems that constantly communicate and influence each other. Every physical movement we make, from walking to stretching to breathing deeply, sends a signal to the brain, shaping how we think, feel, and behave. This intricate partnership forms the foundation of human health and performance. When we exercise, we are not just training our muscles or improving endurance. We are strengthening the neurological pathways that link the body to the mind. This relationship, known as the brain-body connection, demonstrates that physical movement is not only essential for maintaining a healthy body, but also for nurturing a strong and balanced mind. The body acts as the vehicle through which the brain experiences the world, and the quality of that interaction determines how efficiently the brain functions. When we engage in physical activity, our heart rate increases, pumping oxygen, rich blood throughout the body and into the brain. This increased circulation supplies the brain with the fuel it needs to perform at its peak, allowing neurons, the brain's communication cells, to fire more rapidly and efficiently. The flow of oxygen and nutrients enhances concentration, sharpens alertness, and supports mental clarity. This is why even a short walk can make us feel more focused or creative. The physical act of moving revitalizes the brain, stimulating the areas responsible for thought, memory, and decision-making. Conversely, when we spend long hours in inactivity, our brain's activity slows, leading to fatigue, brain fog, and reduced emotional balance. Movement acts as a natural energizer, keeping both mind and body alert and connected. Beyond oxygen and circulation, movement also influences the production of essential neurochemicals that affect how we feel and think. During physical activity, the brain releases endorphins, serotonin, and dopamine chemicals associated with happiness, motivation, and focus. These neurotransmitters elevate our mood and improve emotional regulation, allowing us to manage stress and anxiety more effectively. The communication between body and brain becomes more fluid, creating harmony between how we move and how we think. This balanced state is why people who exercise regularly often report higher levels of mental clarity and emotional stability. The body's activity translates into a calmer, more resilient mind capable of adapting to challenges and maintaining focus under pressure. The brain-body connection also plays a major role in how we perceive ourselves and the world around us. Movement helps regulate sensory input and emotional response, allowing the brain to process information more effectively. For example, rhythmic activities such as dancing, swimming, or cycling engage multiple regions of the brain simultaneously, integrating motor control with memory, coordination, and creativity. These actions reinforce neural connections, making the brain more adaptable and capable of learning new skills. The stronger this communication between body and brain becomes, the more efficient and flexible our cognitive processes are. We think more clearly, solve problems faster, and handle emotions with greater awareness. Furthermore, the brain constantly monitors signals from the body to maintain balance, a process known as homeostasis. When we exercise, these signals become stronger and more precise, allowing the brain to better regulate energy, stress levels, and sleep patterns. Movement activates the parasympathetic nervous system, the system responsible for rest and recovery, which helps calm the mind and restore focus. Even simple actions like deep breathing or stretching can reset this connection, reminding the brain that the body is safe and supported. This communication loop creates a powerful feedback system where physical well-being directly enhances mental performance, and mental clarity inspires more physical vitality. Ultimately, the partnership between the brain and body is what enables us to function as complete, integrated beings. Movement strengthens this bond, teaching the brain how to respond to effort, adapt to stress, and thrive under pressure. Exercise becomes more than just a means of staying fit. It becomes a dialogue between the body's physical strength and the brain's cognitive power. Each step, stretch, or breath sends a signal that reinforces focus, balance, and awareness, proving that the body and brain are not separate systems, but parts of one intelligent whole working together in perfect harmony. Exercise is far more than a way to build strength or lose weight. It is one of the most effective fuels for the brain. When the body moves, an extraordinary process begins inside the mind, where neurons fire more rapidly. Communication between brain cells strengthens, and new networks start to form. Physical activity sends a powerful rush of blood through the body, carrying oxygen and glucose directly to the brain. These two elements act as its primary energy sources, feeding neurons and allowing them to perform their complex functions with greater efficiency. As circulation increases, so does the brain's capacity to focus, process information, and stay alert. This is why people often feel mentally refreshed after exercise. The act of moving the body energizes the mind, awakening areas responsible for attention, decision making, and memory. The clearer and more consistent the flow of blood and oxygen, the sharper and more resilient the brain becomes over time. At the heart of this transformation is a remarkable protein called brain-derived neurotrophic factor, or BDNF. Scientists often refer to BDNF as fertilizer for the brain because it helps neurons grow, form new connections, and strengthen existing ones. When we exercise, our brain produces more BDNF, encouraging neuroplasticity, the ability of the brain to change and adapt. This process enhances learning, problem solving, and emotional balance. It also plays a vital role in protecting the brain from age-related decline and cognitive diseases. In other words, every time you move your body, you are actively cultivating a stronger, healthier, and more adaptable brain. The effects of this growth are not fleeting. They accumulate over time, creating a lasting foundation for mental agility and emotional well-being. Exercise also influences the production of neurotransmitters, the chemical messengers that control communication between brain cells. Physical activity increases the release of dopamine, norepinephrine, and serotonin, which are linked to motivation, alertness, and happiness. These chemicals not only enhance mood, but also improve focus and learning. For instance, dopamine helps maintain motivation and reward perception, while serotonin stabilizes mood and reduces feelings of anxiety or sadness. The combination of these neurochemicals creates an optimal environment for concentration and emotional stability. As a result, even after a single session of physical activity, the brain becomes more alert, balanced, and ready to tackle complex tasks. One of the most fascinating aspects of exercise as brain fuel is how it impacts the prefrontal cortex, the region responsible for executive function, planning, decision making, and impulse control. Physical activity strengthens this area, allowing us to think more clearly, make sound decisions, and resist distractions. The better the prefrontal cortex functions, the easier it becomes to stay organized, manage emotions, and focus on long-term goals. In essence, movement helps fine-tune the control center of the brain, optimizing how we think and behave in daily life. Beyond the biochemical and structural changes, exercise also trains the brain to use its energy more efficiently. When we push through physical effort, our brain learns to adapt to challenges, conserving mental energy and building endurance. This adaptability translates into other aspects of life, helping us handle stress, learn faster, and remain mentally steady during pressure. Over time, these repeated cycles of effort and recovery create stronger neural pathways that enhance both resilience and creativity. Moreover, exercise has been shown to stimulate the growth of new capillaries in the brain, increasing its overall vascular network. This means more efficient nutrient delivery and waste removal, keeping brain tissue healthy and active. With consistent movement, the brain remains well nourished, reducing the risk of cognitive fatigue and mental fog. It becomes more like a well-oiled machine capable of sustained focus and long-term vitality. In the simplest terms, exercise serves as the most natural and powerful brain enhancer available. It feeds, repairs, and strengthens the mind at every level, from molecular chemistry to complex cognitive function. Each step, stretch, or heartbeat sends life, giving energy to the brain, keeping it youthful, sharp, and adaptable. The more consistently the body moves, the more the mind thrives, proving that physical activity is not just about building a better body, but about fueling the very core of our mental power. Exercise is one of the most powerful and natural ways to improve mood and emotional balance. When the body moves, the brain responds instantly, releasing a cascade of chemicals that can shift how we feel, think, and cope with stress. It is no coincidence that after a jog, a dance session, or even a short walk, people often feel lighter, calmer, and more optimistic. This change is not just psychological, it is deeply biological. The brain and body work in harmony to regulate emotions through complex chemical and neural pathways, and physical activity plays a vital role in keeping that system balanced. Movement activates the release of endorphins, often called the body's natural painkillers and happiness boosters. These endorphins interact with receptors in the brain to reduce pain perception and produce a sense of euphoria, often described as the runner's high. This feeling helps elevate mood, reduce anxiety, and create an overall sense of well-being that can last for hours after exercise. Alongside endorphins, exercise increases the levels of serotonin and dopamine, two key neurotransmitters that affect emotional regulation and motivation. Serotonin helps stabilize mood and promotes relaxation, while dopamine is linked to reward and pleasure. When both are released through physical movement, they work together to create a balanced mental state, lifting feelings of depression and providing a natural sense of accomplishment. This is one reason why exercise is frequently recommended as part of therapy for anxiety and depression. Even mild physical activity can significantly improve mood and emotional health by rebalancing the brain's chemistry. Over time, consistent movement trains the brain to manage stress more effectively and respond to challenges with greater emotional control. Physical activity also reduces the production of stress hormones like cortisol and adrenaline. In modern life, chronic stress keeps these hormones elevated, leading to fatigue, irritability, and mental exhaustion. Exercise acts as a natural reset button, lowering cortisol levels and signaling to the brain that the body is safe. This shift allows the nervous system to relax, improving sleep, focus, and emotional resilience. Activities like yoga, walking, or stretching can activate the parasympathetic nervous system, often called the rest and digest mode, which restores calm and counteracts the body's stress response. Over time, this practice strengthens the brain's ability to recover from emotional strain, helping individuals remain centered even in difficult situations. Another important way movement regulates mood is by creating a sense of control and empowerment. When people exercise, they actively engage in self-care and accomplishment, both of which enhance confidence and self-esteem. The physical effort required in movement translates into psychological strength. Completing a workout or mastering a skill sends positive feedback to the brain, reinforcing a mindset of growth and capability. This sense of progress becomes a powerful motivator and helps combat feelings of helplessness that often accompany stress or emotional struggles. Through consistent activity, the mind learns to associate physical effort with positive outcomes, reinforcing optimism and self-worth. Furthermore, exercise promotes mindfulness, a state of being fully present in the moment. Whether through running, dancing, or practicing yoga, physical movement encourages individuals to focus on their breathing, posture, and sensations, quieting mental noise and reducing rumination. This mindful awareness creates space between thoughts and emotions, allowing the brain to process feelings more clearly without becoming overwhelmed by them. As the body finds rhythm in movement, the mind finds rhythm in thought, creating harmony between emotional and physical states. Exercise also fosters social connection, another crucial factor in mood regulation. Group activities such as team sports, fitness classes, or even walking with friends release oxytocin, often called the bonding hormone, which strengthens feelings of trust and belonging. Human connection amplifies the positive emotional effects of exercise, reinforcing the sense that we are supported and valued. The combination of physical movement and social interaction magnifies the brain's reward response, deepening happiness and emotional stability. Ultimately, movement transforms the way the brain handles emotion by rewiring neural pathways to favor balance, clarity, and resilience. Each session of physical activity becomes a form of emotional training, teaching the mind to release tension, generate positivity, and recover from stress. With time, exercise doesn't just lift mood temporarily. It reshapes how we experience emotions altogether. The brain learns to associate movement with peace, confidence, and joy, creating a stable foundation for lasting emotional well-being. Exercise has an extraordinary influence on how the brain processes, stores, and retrieves information. When the body engages in movement, the mind responds by strengthening memory, focus, and learning capacity. Physical activity stimulates several areas of the brain, but one of the most important is the hippocampus, a region responsible for learning and long-term memory. Studies have shown that consistent aerobic exercise, such as running, swimming, or cycling, can increase the size and activity of the hippocampus, improving the brain's ability to form and retain memories. This process occurs because exercise enhances blood circulation, delivering oxygen and essential nutrients that fuel brain cells, while simultaneously promoting the growth of new neurons and repair of existing ones. This biological renewal makes the brain more efficient, agile, and capable of handling complex cognitive tasks. Movement also boosts the production of brain-derived neurotrophic factor, or BDNF, which acts like fertilizer for the brain. BDNF supports the survival of existing neurons, encourages the formation of new neural connections, and enhances synaptic plasticity, the ability of neurons to communicate and adapt. These mechanisms are essential for memory consolidation, learning new information, and maintaining mental sharpness over time. The more we move, the more BDNF our brain produces, and the stronger our memory systems become. This is why taking short, active breaks during study or work sessions can significantly improve concentration and recall. Physical activity not only refreshes the body, but also clears mental clutter, making room for deeper focus and more creative thought. In addition to improving memory, exercise enhances executive function, the brain's ability to plan, prioritize, and make decisions. The prefrontal cortex, the region responsible for these higher-order skills, becomes more active and efficient during and after physical activity. This part of the brain controls self-discipline, organization, and emotional regulation. When we exercise regularly, we strengthen the neural pathways that allow us to think critically and manage complex problems with clarity. This improvement in executive function helps people stay on task, resist distractions, and process information more effectively. Exercise, therefore, is not just a tool for physical endurance, but also a powerful enhancer of mental performance and decision making. Furthermore, movement plays a vital role in attention regulation. When we sit still for long periods, the brain's alertness naturally declines, leading to fatigue and difficulty concentrating. Exercise, on the other hand, increases arousal and activates neurotransmitters like norepinephrine and dopamine, which sharpen attention and boost motivation. After even a brief session of movement, people often experience improved concentration and a heightened sense of mental clarity. This is why students, professionals, and creatives benefit from integrating short bouts of physical activity into their daily routines. Exercise acts as a mental reset, bringing the mind back into focus and enabling it to work more efficiently. Another significant benefit of exercise on brain function is its ability to slow cognitive decline associated with aging. As we grow older, the hippocampus naturally shrinks and memory tends to weaken. However, consistent physical activity can reverse or slow this process by encouraging neurogenesis, the creation of new brain cells. Regular movement also reduces inflammation and oxidative stress, two major contributors to cognitive aging. This means that staying active not only improves current memory and focus, but also preserves them for the future, keeping the mind sharper and more youthful as the years pass. Exercise also helps synchronize the mind and body through rhythm and coordination. Activities like dancing, martial arts, or playing sports require precise timing, balance, and concentration. These complex movements challenge multiple brain regions simultaneously, strengthening communication between them. As the brain adapts to coordinate movement and thought, it becomes more efficient at processing other forms of information as well. The integration of motor skills, sensory awareness, and memory creates a dynamic network that supports overall mental agility. The connection between movement and focus extends beyond biology. It also shapes mindset. Engaging in physical activity builds patience, persistence, and goal-oriented thinking, traits that directly enhance learning and productivity. The discipline required to maintain an exercise routine strengthens mental endurance, allowing the brain to approach challenges with resilience and clarity. In essence, every movement you make is a lesson for the mind, teaching it to focus, adapt, and grow stronger through effort. Exercise becomes more than a physical habit. It becomes a powerful training ground for the brain, reinforcing the link between movement and memory, and ensuring that focus remains a skill that can be strengthened with every step. Exercise is not only a way to build physical strength, but also one of the most powerful tools for cultivating mental resilience and creativity. When the body moves, the brain undergoes a cascade of chemical and structural changes that enhance its ability to handle stress, adapt to challenges, and generate new ideas. Physical activity triggers the release of neurotransmitters such as dopamine, serotonin, and endorphins, which regulate mood and motivation. These chemicals help the mind maintain balance even under pressure, making it easier to stay calm, focused, and positive. The rhythmic patterns of movement, whether through running, dancing, or swimming, help regulate the nervous system, teaching the brain how to move smoothly between states of tension and relaxation. Over time, this dynamic balance builds emotional resilience, the capacity to recover quickly from setbacks and approach life's challenges with confidence and clarity. When we engage in exercise, we expose both body and mind to controlled stress. The heart beats faster, muscles strain, and breathing deepens, signaling the brain to adapt to the changing state of the body. In response, the brain strengthens the neural circuits that manage stress and emotion. This process, known as hormesis, allows the brain to become more resilient not by avoiding stress, but by learning to recover from it more efficiently. As a result, people who exercise regularly often report greater emotional stability and a more balanced perspective during times of difficulty. Exercise teaches the mind to associate effort with growth, reframing discomfort as a necessary part of improvement. This mental shift creates a foundation for long-term resilience, where challenges are seen not as threats, but as opportunities to evolve. Another fascinating aspect of exercise is its ability to boost creativity. Movement increases blood flow to the brain's prefrontal cortex and default mode network, areas responsible for imagination, problem solving, and innovation. During physical activity, especially rhythmic or repetitive forms such as walking or jogging, the brain enters a relaxed but alert state. In this state, neural pathways communicate more freely, allowing ideas to connect in novel ways. Many great thinkers, from philosophers to inventors, have relied on walking or physical movement to stimulate creative thought. This phenomenon occurs because movement temporarily reduces self-criticism and overthinking, creating space for spontaneous ideas to surface. The combination of oxygen, rich blood, and relaxed mental focus allows the brain to enter what psychologists call flow, a state of deep concentration and creativity where time seems to disappear, and ideas emerge effortlessly. Exercise also fosters a sense of mastery and progress that fuels creative confidence. Each time we learn a new skill, refine a movement, or push beyond a previous limit, the brain releases dopamine, reinforcing the feeling of success and encouraging further exploration. This reward cycle strengthens motivation and helps overcome mental barriers such as fear of failure or self-doubt. Creativity thrives in this environment because the brain associates effort with discovery rather than perfection. Physical challenges thus become metaphors for creative ones, reminding us that progress is built on persistence and curiosity. Moreover, certain forms of exercise, such as yoga, tai chi, or mindful movement, cultivate awareness and stillness within motion. These practices activate the parasympathetic nervous system, reducing mental clutter and grounding the mind in the present moment. From this state of mindfulness, creativity often flourishes naturally, as the mind becomes quiet enough to listen to new insights. This harmony between body and mind enhances focus, clarity, and intuitive thinking. Physical movement, rather than being a distraction, becomes a gateway to inspiration. Resilience and creativity also grow through community and connection, and many forms of exercise provide both. Participating in group activities, team sports, or fitness classes promotes collaboration and shared motivation, releasing oxytocin, the hormone linked to trust and social bonding. This sense of connection not only strengthens emotional health, but also stimulates creative energy by exposing the brain to new perspectives and collective problem solving. Ultimately, exercise rewires the brain to handle life's unpredictability with strength and imagination. Each workout becomes a form of mental training, teaching patience, adaptability, and curiosity. The physical effort builds not just endurance in the muscles, but flexibility in the mind. Through consistent movement, we learn how to remain centered in chaos, how to recover when we fall, and how to find inspiration in motion. The brain thrives when the body moves because movement is both a challenge and a release, a chance to build resilience while opening the door to creativity and limitless growth. Exercise is not only a way to build physical strength, but also one of the most powerful tools for cultivating mental resilience and creativity. When the body moves, the brain undergoes a cascade of chemical and structural changes that enhance its ability to handle stress, adapt to challenges, and generate new ideas. Physical activity triggers the release of neurotransmitters such as dopamine, serotonin, and endorphins, which regulate mood and motivation. These chemicals help the mind maintain balance even under pressure, making it easier to stay calm, focused, and positive. The rhythmic patterns of movement, whether through running, dancing, or swimming, help regulate the nervous system, teaching the brain how to move smoothly between states of tension and relaxation. Over time, this dynamic balance builds emotional resilience, the capacity to recover quickly from setbacks and approach life's challenges with confidence and clarity. When we engage in exercise, we expose both body and mind to controlled stress. The heart beats faster, muscles strain, and breathing deepens, signaling the brain to adapt to the changing state of the body. In response, the brain strengthens the neural circuits that manage stress and emotion. This process, known as hormesis, allows the brain to become more resilient, not by avoiding stress, but by learning to recover from it more efficiently. As a result, people who exercise regularly often report greater emotional stability and a more balanced perspective during times of difficulty. Exercise teaches the mind to associate effort with growth, reframing discomfort as a necessary part of improvement. This mental shift creates a foundation for long-term resilience, where challenges are seen not as threats, but as opportunities to evolve. Another fascinating aspect of exercise is its ability to boost creativity. Movement increases blood flow to the brain's prefrontal cortex and default mode network, areas responsible for imagination, problem solving, and innovation. During physical activity, especially rhythmic or repetitive forms such as walking or jogging, the brain enters a relaxed but alert state. In this state, neural pathways communicate more freely, allowing ideas to connect in novel ways. Many great thinkers, from philosophers to inventors, have relied on walking or physical movement to stimulate creative thought. This phenomenon occurs because movement temporarily reduces self, criticism, and overthinking, creating space for spontaneous ideas to surface. The combination of oxygen, rich blood, and relaxed mental focus allows the brain to enter what psychologists call flow, a state of deep concentration and creativity where time seems to disappear, and ideas emerge effortlessly. Exercise also fosters a sense of mastery and progress that fuels creative confidence. Each time we learn a new skill, refine a movement, or push beyond a previous limit, the brain releases dopamine, reinforcing the feeling of success and encouraging further exploration. This reward cycle strengthens motivation and helps overcome mental barriers such as fear of failure or self-doubt. Creativity thrives in this environment because the brain associates effort with discovery rather than perfection. Physical challenges thus become metaphors for creative ones, reminding us that progress is built on persistence and curiosity. Moreover, certain forms of exercise, such as yoga, tai chi, or mindful movement, cultivate awareness and stillness within motion. These practices activate the parasympathetic nervous system, reducing mental clutter and grounding the mind in the present moment. From this state of mindfulness, creativity often flourishes naturally, as the mind becomes quiet enough to listen to new insights. This harmony between body and mind enhances focus, clarity, and intuitive thinking. Physical movement, rather than being a distraction, becomes a gateway to inspiration. Resilience and creativity also grow through community and connection, and many forms of exercise provide both. Participating in group activities, team sports, or fitness classes promotes collaboration and shared motivation, releasing oxytocin, the hormone linked to trust and social bonding. This sense of connection not only strengthens emotional health, but also stimulates creative energy by exposing the brain to new perspectives and collective problem solving. Ultimately, exercise rewires the brain to handle life's unpredictability with strength and imagination. Each workout becomes a form of mental training, teaching patience, adaptability, and curiosity. The physical effort builds not just endurance in the muscles, but flexibility in the mind. Through consistent movement, we learn how to remain centered in chaos, how to recover when we fall, and how to find inspiration in motion. The brain thrives when the body moves because movement is both a challenge and a release, a chance to build resilience while opening the door to creativity and limitless growth. Exercise has a remarkable ability to reshape the brain's reward and motivation systems, creating powerful changes in how we think, act, and make decisions. Every time we engage in physical activity, the brain responds by releasing a wave of chemicals, dopamine, serotonin, and endorphins, that produce feelings of pleasure, accomplishment, and satisfaction. These chemical reactions are part of the brain's reward circuitry, designed to reinforce behaviors that promote survival and well-being. When we exercise regularly, we strengthen this circuit, training the brain to associate effort with positive emotional outcomes. Over time, this rewiring enhances discipline, perseverance, and intrinsic motivation. What begins as a physical routine gradually transforms into a mental framework that supports consistency, focus, and personal growth in every area of life. At the heart of this transformation is dopamine, often referred to as the motivation molecule. It plays a central role in helping the brain anticipate rewards and sustain effort toward goals. Exercise naturally boosts dopamine production, creating a sense of excitement and satisfaction after movement. Unlike artificial rewards such as social media or junk food, which cause quick spikes and crashes in dopamine. Physical activity provides a stable and balanced release. This teaches the brain to value effort and patience rather than instant gratification. As this pattern repeats, the neural pathways that link effort to reward grow stronger, making it easier to stay committed not just to fitness goals, but to all kinds of long-term challenges. The brain learns to crave the satisfaction that comes from progress, building a mindset rooted in discipline and perseverance. This rewiring process extends beyond motivation. It also enhances self-control. The prefrontal cortex, the area of the brain responsible for decision-making and impulse regulation, becomes more efficient through regular exercise. Physical training requires planning, repetition, and delayed gratification, all of which strengthen the mental circuits that govern willpower. Each time we choose to move when we don't feel like it, we reinforce the brain's ability to override short-term comfort in pursuit of long-term reward. This kind of mental training carries over into daily life, helping us resist distractions, make better choices, and remain focused on personal goals. The consistency developed through movement becomes a model for how the brain approaches challenges, turning effort into a habit rather than a struggle. Another important effect of exercise on the brain's reward system is the sense of achievement it creates. Even small milestones, completing a workout, improving strength, or mastering a new skill, trigger the release of endorphins and dopamine, rewarding perseverance. These moments of success signal to the brain that progress is possible, building confidence and reinforcing self-belief. This feedback loop strengthens emotional resilience and helps combat negative thought patterns. Over time, individuals who exercise regularly tend to report higher levels of self-esteem and life satisfaction because their brains are trained to find joy in growth rather than perfection. The journey itself becomes rewarding, and motivation shifts from external validation to internal fulfillment. Exercise also reshapes the way the brain responds to stress. When faced with physical exertion, the body learns to adapt, regulating hormones and improving tolerance for discomfort. This adaptability strengthens the reward system by showing the brain that persistence through difficulty leads to reward. The more we push through challenging workouts, the more the brain connects effort with achievement, turning perseverance into an automatic response. This builds what psychologists call grit, the combination of passion and sustained effort over time. A person who learns to endure physical challenge is also training the mind to remain steady through emotional and mental challenges, creating a foundation for long-term success. The motivational impact of exercise is not limited to individuals. It often extends to community and shared accountability. Group workouts, sports, or fitness challenges create social bonds that further activate the brain's reward circuits. Human connection releases oxytocin, the hormone linked to trust and belonging, which enhances motivation by adding emotional meaning to physical activity. This combination of personal reward and social encouragement amplifies consistency and joy, transforming exercise into a deeply fulfilling habit. Ultimately, regular physical activity rewires the brain to see effort as valuable, discomfort as temporary, and discipline as empowering. It transforms motivation from a fleeting emotion into a sustainable mindset. Each movement reinforces the belief that growth requires effort, and each effort fuels the brain's reward system in a healthy, lasting way. Through this continuous loop of action and reward, exercise becomes not just a physical habit, but a mental framework for success, a reminder that the greatest strength comes not only from the body, but from the mind that learns to keep moving forward.